Hey everyone, welcome to Rob's Funk and Junk episode. What episode are we on now? I'm just looking. We are on episode 20. Hang on, I think I'm on episode 23. I'm going to stop saying what. Yeah, episode 23. How are you all out there? What's happening? What's going on? How's your week been? Hope you enjoyed the last episode where I was talking all things QC. Quad Cortex. It's what date is it today? It's Tuesday the 28th of March. We're nearly through March, almost in April. I think spring's threatening to arrive. What time is it? It's 9:24 in the evening. I'm sitting here in my studio, kind of trying to sort of inspire myself to play guitar a bit. I've had a bit of a week, a bit of a sort of dead, nothingy week. Nothing much to report. Well, definitely not much to report music wise. There's not been much happening. Other stuff wise, there's been plenty of stuff happening, but music wise, not much going on. I was involved in a little car crash last week, a little car accident. So I was on my way to a gig in Oxford, and I had a friend of mine in the car with me, and I was involved in a 5-car. Wasn't a major crash. I'm making it sound like it's worse than it was, but I was involved in a 5-car little. Oh, my wife is just appearing. Rachel is appearing with a little glass of whiskey. Thanks, darling.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Cheers, everyone. Just the end of a day and a little bit of Irish whiskey. Cheers, all. So I was involved in a little car crash. I was stationary, and someone went into the back of me. So I was stuck in a traffic jam, and then someone went into the back of me, pushing me into 2 cars in front, and then someone went into the back of him. So that was it was 5 cars. I was the car in the middle. My car was written off. So I had the delightful pleasure of, my other half helped me out. I had to get to my gig in Oxford, get the gear in, all that kind of stuff, sound check, and then go back to the car, which was a bit of a trek away from where the venue was. And then sort out getting the car recovered, going in to do the gig, and then I had a taxi pick me up after the gig. So I had to get the car picked up because I couldn't drive it anymore. But everyone was okay, no one was hurt. But it's just one of those things that is kind of taken all the sort of inspiration out of me for playing. You know, I don't know whether anyone else gets that, like where you just don't feel particularly inspired to play. I have it from time to time, where I just I pick up the guitar to work, but I don't sit around and play as much as I normally do. So that's been what this week has been, and I kind of think about this and think, what's going on? Why am I not feeling like playing? And but there's really nothing I can do. You know, I get on with my sessions, but I don't feel particularly inspired to sit and practice or sit and work on things. I'm trying to finish off a couple of tunes at the moment, so it's probably to do with that. And when you've got other things going on, I don't know if anyone else has that out there where you just don't feel like playing the guitar, or you don't feel like listening to music that much. You're just getting on with other bits and pieces. Sorry for me, just noodling. I've got a guitar in my. If anyone who's listening to this on the podcast, I've got a guitar in my hand. Yeah, so I've kind of been spending a lot of time coming into the studio. I've had a few sessions to do, but I come and sit in here, and I've actually been watching quite a lot of YouTube videos this week, checking out some of John Cordy's stuff. He is very inspiring to listen to play, and sort of talking about. He talks a lot about modelers and stuff like that, which I am interested in. I've got a feeling there's something new about to come out with the NAMM show. I'm wondering what's going to happen. I've got a feeling companies like Kemper and Fractal are going to come out with new bits of kit. At the upcoming NAMM show, I think they're going to release a few things. I think the modelling technology is going to move forward. The modelling and capturing technology is going to move forward somewhat. So I'm interested in that, just to see what's going to happen there, really. See how it's going to go forward. I'm always open to new things. And if something was to come along that was amazing, I'll give it a look at. I'll have a look at it. Another thing that's happened is I've had my Princeton Reverb repaired, so I did a session with that the other day, and it sounds super great. So yeah, I'm just in a bit of a funk, really. Just a bit lost with what to play, what to listen to. And I have this from time to time where I just don't feel like playing that much, and I just sort of see it through and carry on. And then next week it'll be fine. I've got a gig coming up on Thursday. I'm off to Spain on Thursday. I've got a gig in Madrid on Thursday night, and then another gig on Saturday. And I'll be fine. I'll be back in the swing of things. But when you've got other stuff going on in your life, and there's some other, a few little obstacles thrown at you, it can throw you off a little bit sometimes. One thing that I did, I've been going to the gym quite a bit. So one thing that I've been, as I said, I've been watching quite a lot of YouTube things and listening to some things when I've been in the gym and out on dog walks. Was a great, if you get a chance to see it, I don't know whether I mentioned it last time, I can't remember, but there's a lot of information in it, so maybe it's worth another mention. But it's Tom Bukovac's Homeschooling, where he's hanging out with Dan Huff, the amazing, take my glasses off, the amazing Dan Huff. And he's kind of, what they're doing is they're talking about sessions, and in particular, how they met, and, a little bit of the history of things, of how they, their work together. But then they go through and start playing some of their favourite tracks and talking about their favourite sort of most inspiring guitar sounds. And one thing that's, that is really, I find, great compared to a lot of other stuff that's out here on YouTube these days and on Instagram, is most of what they're talking about is not necessarily about any kind of chops, nothing to do with chops. They're mostly talking about the sound and the intention of the parts that are being played on some of their favourite records. And they're sort of, Tom Bukovac, or Uncle Larry, as he calls himself, he's got a really amazing in-depth knowledge of what was used on the certain tracks that he's talking about. So he knows the amps and the guitars that were used on tracks, and I find that stuff amazing to listen to. Really, really inspirational. You know, he talks about how much space the guitar is taking up in a track, and how much, you know, what it's doing compared to the drums and the bass. You know, the sort of how small the drums are on a track, which means that the guitar has more space. And it's not necessarily how quiet the drums are; it's how small they are, how sort of middly the drums are, or tight. But yeah, it's definitely well worth a watch. If you can see that episode, it's fantastic. And I'm there's never a video I watch of Uncle Larry that I'm not completely hooked with, and he just plays so well. But one thing I did find it interesting was, you know, talking to Dan Huff, he was saying that he's not really that knowledgeable about guitar sounds, which I find really strange, because Dan Huff is a legendary session guy, but also an amazing producer. So to hear that Dan Huff says he's kind of not sure about getting guitar sounds, which I find very hard to believe, but it just goes to show that these guys are kind of finding their way all the time, you know, and that's quite, you know, it's quite encouraging to know, because I'm the same. I'm completely the same. I'm kind of finding my way all the time with guitar sounds, and yeah, so definitely check that out. What else have I been checking out this week? Listen to a great interview with Mick Taylor from That Pedal Show. That was really good. I think it was called, I'm not sure of the podcast that it was on, but it was a podcast. So it was Mick talking about basically the work that him and Dan Steinhardt are doing. Dan I've known for quite some time, and he's an amazing guy, very, very intelligent, amazing guy. You know, he created the gig rig, and he really knows his stuff. But, you know, I listen with interest because obviously they've got a massively successful YouTube channel with That Pedal Show, TPS. And, you know, I was really interested to hear the growth of that channel, that you know, that whole thing. It's a massive thing now. So I was really interested to hear them talking about that and how it has developed and how they started and how timid they were. And, you know, I can completely relate to that because I'm just starting out on this. And whatever this is, whatever this channel is, I'm not quite tipsy yet, but I might be in a minute. I'm all right. But it was great, you know, because he was talking about the mindset of starting out. And obviously when you're sort of doing this, my wife is coming in, the dogs are coming in. Hello, you two. Hello. I've just been joined by three dogs. They're all in here. Kenny's making another appearance. Here he is. Hey, Kenny. You gonna say hello? Say hello. Hello. Hello, Kenny boy. Are you all right? Yeah, they're all in here. Yeah, we're talking about how when he started out, you know, they went back and watched some of their early stuff and realised how timid they were and what are you allowed to say and how do you become natural in front of a camera, and the mindset and how long it took for them to be relaxed and comfortable. And I think they do an amazing job. You know, this is the thing. And what is, you know, listening to it. I was listening to it while mowing my lawns the other day. Yeah, rock and roll, mowing the lawns. But I was kind of listening to it with realizing that how much what I do and what most musicians, how different it's become in the last couple of years, how we all have had to sort of really diversify in how we, in the things we do as players, as guitar players, or any other player, drummer, keyboard player, bass player, singer, whatever. You've got to wear a load of different hats now. So that means, you're not just playing, you're not just playing guitar anymore. You're not just creating or coming up with guitar parts or that kind of stuff. You have to think more. You're doing, you've got a channel, you've got a podcast, you've got a guitar course that you're teaching, you're doing sessions, you've got to think about your Instagram and how much you want to invest in the time for that kind of stuff. And it's weird, if you think about it, it's a weird thing. It's almost like that saying of, if a tree falls down in a forest, if there's no one there, does it make a noise? That thing. It's if I'm not posting on social media in some way, is anything I'm doing kind of relevant? And I definitely do struggle with that all the time. It's like, how much do I post? What do I say? What is it I'm doing? Why am I posting? What am I comfortable with posting? And I'm not sure whether you need to. I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of other people out there who have got really successful careers without posting anything on social media. But I definitely do know that whenever I post something on social media, it always links to something. So it's almost like the social media is like a business card of some kind. It's like a way of being under people's noses. So yeah, it's kind of a strange thing to think about, but hearing Mick talking about this the other day, he obviously came, he's a fine player. Mick Taylor, I'm talking about. He's a fine player, but he came from a journalist background. I think he used to write for Guitarist magazine, and then he sort of, I think, probably realised that. I don't know whether that. I mean, that's definitely still going, but I think he probably realised the growth in this side of stuff, YouTube, Instagram, and we all seem to be having to do it. When I see someone like Tom Bukovac having to do it, not having to do it, he's doing it, but he does it in such a cool way. Just the way he puts his camera and his phone in front of him and just plays. It's incredible. You're getting the real player there. He's amazing, but for him to be doing that, there must be a need for him to do that to sort of reach a wider audience. And I think that's what this is. This is what this gives you. But it's the wild west out there with this kind of stuff, I think. So that is something that I think about a lot. How much time do I invest in it? How much time do I think about it? Even like this podcast. I mean, I'm kind of doing it. I really enjoy it, but I'm kind of sometimes I doubt. You go, what am I doing it for? What's it about? And I come to the conclusion, I'm doing it because I actually quite enjoy it. It's quite, it's a way for me to just either have a rant or a chat. I know, I kind of look at my numbers. I'm trying not to look at the numbers of who listens to it, but you do go, well, what's the point of this? What am I doing it for? And I'm probably still sort of finding my way and seeing how it goes. I've got no intention of stopping doing it, but you question, what's this for? Who am I doing this? Is this kind of an ego thing? Am I doing it so people say they like me or anything like that? But I don't think it's that. I think it's just a way of for me, I suppose it's connecting with people, actually. I think that's what it is. It's connecting. It's not like you're releasing a piece of music every week or every month. You're just sort of connecting with people. And if anyone's listening to it and they take any kind of enjoyment out of it at all, which I hope they do, then it's worthwhile doing. And I think that's the thing. Whenever I have any self-doubt about it, God, I'm getting fucking deep today. Whenever I have any self-doubt about it, I'm trying to sort of say, well, actually, someone might enjoy this. They might just enjoy me rambling on for half an hour. And I do notice that when I've stopped doing it, I get the odd message saying, is everything okay? You know, I missed your podcast. So I'll keep doing it as long as people are liking it. Yeah, I think I'm feeling very introspective, if that's the word, at the moment. I've just had one of those weeks where it's been a bit of a weird week. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm good. Don't worry, everything's fine. I did have a few. Let me just check. I think I had some emails. Let me just check and put the old bins on. What have I got in the old email bin? Rob's Funk and Junk email. Right. I've had some people actually message about the Boom and Twang workshops, which is great. I've sent anyone who sent me an email. I've sent out a pack, an information pack. So yeah, that's going really well. We've got a load of people that have come forward and they want to join us, Paul Turner and I, on our weekend retreat. So yeah, there's information packs out in the emails to you. I'm just gonna have a sip of my whiskey. Cheers all. So I've got one email. So I've had quite a few emails in about the Boom and Twang course. Someone from the Ukraine. I've just looked at the email address. So I've had an email saying, "Hi Rob, my name is Andre. I like your content. It's inspiring and helpful with guitarists like me. What, in your opinion, is the most versatile electric guitar that you own, or in general for rock, funk, pop music? Thank you." Oh, that's a tough one. I would say that's a really tough question to answer. So I'm using this one a lot at the moment. I think the most versatile for me is the one that I feel I can get the sound out of. I mean, what makes me play relaxed playing, you know. What feels comfortable to play. So I spend a lot of time with this one, this DGT, this PRS DGT. Yeah, I play this one quite a lot because I get, with the pickup selections, and the coil tap on it, it's got so many variations of sounds that I can get kind of harsh, thin sounds with the coil tap in the bridge position, and then I can go to the middle position with the coil tap. So it kind of covers the clean basses for me, really covers clean stuff for me. And then if I go to the bridge pickup, I mean that's quite, it's pushing it a little bit there, but it warms up really nicely. So that's what I'm looking for in a versatility of a guitar. You know, um, if you kind of go if you remove yourself from Strat, Tele, Les Paul, 335, Jazz Box, if you remove yourself from those kind of things, this isn't going to do any of those, right? It's not going to do any of those, but it can get me in the ballpark of a few of those things. So if I was to take one guitar, I mean, I never take one guitar to a session. I always take two or three, just to cover. Well, there's a mentality in that. Taking a couple of guitars, kind of two or three or four or five, it gives the producer or artist confidence that you've got enough stuff to cover loads of different sounds. But what might happen on a session is I might only end up playing one of them for most of the time. So I tend to cover the bases with as many sounds as I can. But if I'm doing a gig, so, you know, like the other day I did a gig on this guitar, and it did everything. You know, I'm playing. It was like a top 40 covers gig, and I was doing pop stuff, rock stuff, a little bit of Latin stuff on it, and it covers everything. I can do everything on it. But I would say that's the same of any guitar that I have. I could do the same. I could get the same kind of thing out of a Strat. I could make it work. Same on a Tele. And I think it's your ear that needs to be versatile and your playing style that needs to be versatile, so you can kind of coax those sounds out of any instrument. You know, I think that's what I would say. Having lots of guitars isn't as important as, I mean, I'm saying that I've got a lot of guitars, but it's not as important as we think it is. You know, I've got a lot of guitars, but these things, I use them all the time, but I don't use them every session. I use them very, very kind of occasionally on different things. And that's only when I'm not getting what I need out of one thing. So what I tend to do is I tend to pick up a guitar and try it out on something. And if it's not working, I'll try a few different options on it with switching and stuff like that. If it's not working, I'll switch to another guitar. And then so on until I find the one that fits and sounds right and feels right for the part that I'm trying to work on. So I don't necessarily just go for one guitar. But I could, if I was stuck, do it on one guitar, if you know what I mean. So that's a very, very long answer to your question, Andre. But yeah, I think see how much you can get out of one guitar before you start thinking about buying loads of others. Because I've got, how many Strats have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Strats. I have 4 Strats, and they all sound different. They're not the same, but I can get by with any one of them. I've got a couple of PRSs there that they do sound different from each other, but I can get by with either of those. I've got a lot of guitars, but don't tell my wife, but I probably don't need all of them to do the work I do. But it's nice to have them around, and some of them are very different from each other. So I don't think there's one such thing in this type of job. If I'm doing a gig, I take 2 guitars, usually one to do the gig with and another one for a backup most of the time. I've got a double mono gig bag, and I take one as a backup just in case I snap a string. And that's usually something that's very similar to the one I've already got. So I wouldn't take a Strat and then a Tele as the backup. I'd take a Strat and then another Strat style guitar. So, for example, the other day I did a gig with this guitar, the DGT. And then I had the Fiore as the backup. And then on another night, just because I want to do something different, I might take the Fiore and use that as the main guitar and have this as the backup. And more often than not, I never use the backup. It's just there just in case. So that's a very long answer to your question. But yeah, that's what it is. So What else have I got? Sorry if I feel a bit, if this is a bit of a flat podcast for you all. I've just had a bit of a quiet guitar week. Although it's not been a quiet guitar week, I've just been a bit lackluster in the music department this week. What I was going to say, so I'm going to do my funk and junk. This week's funk is this very nice little glass of whiskey that I'm enjoying. This takes the edge off the day, for today anyway. Don't worry, I'm not a raging alcoholic. I'm just having a little glass of whiskey, and it is nearly 10 o'clock at night. So, cheers, everybody. And this week's junk is probably people looking at their phones when they're driving their cars, because that's probably what happened to me the other day when the guy rear-ended me and wrote off my lovely car. Mind you, I must say we've been given a really nice went through accident management, and we've been given a really nice car to drive around in while we sort out the logistics of changing our car. But yes, I've got a lovely Mercedes that I'm driving around in at the moment, which kind of makes me want to get the same model when I get another car. I do love a Mercedes. I've always liked Mercs. I'm not massively into cars, but one of my favourites is a Mercedes. Always has been since I was a kid. I particularly like the old ones, the old sort of 70s convertible SLCs or whatever they're called. I used to have one, but I no longer have it. But they're my favourites, actually, whenever I see one of those. But yeah, this particular car I've got at the moment is very, very nice, and I'm very much enjoying it. So I am going to wrap this up. I will be back next week, a little bit more inspired. If you can take anything from this, I guess it's just life goes on, and the inspiration will come back. I guess we can't always be super inspired all the time to play, and I think most of us have this from time to time. So sorry if I've put anyone on a downer. Not meant to, but I hope you're all well out there. And once again, if you've got any questions or anything you want to talk about, drop me a line at robspunkandjunk@gmail.com, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever it is. Take care all. Bye.